Hello, and welcome to your weekly roundup of all the latest news and ramble about the world of electric cars from the team at electrifying.com. This week, we'll be fighting fires on more than one front and also trying to figure out why on earth a Vauxhall Corsa costs more than a Tesla Model Y. Welcome to the Kilowatt Half Hour. I'm Ginny Buckley, and I've got the lovely Nicola Hume. Hello.
Hello.
And the lovely Tom Barnard. Hello.
Hello.
I haven't been driving much this week, guys, because I've mainly been coughing quite a lot. Because I seem to have had a cough and a cold for about 3 weeks now, and it's got worse. So in advance of that, I've just
I'll be honest with you. Your voice sounds, like in that episode of Friends when Phoebe gets cold and she ends up with a sexy voice.
I know.
Your voice has gone a little bit sexy. It's very nice.
Sort of like Barry White impersonator. You could have a second career.
It's not the vibe I was going for, Tom, really. If it was just a sexy voice, I'd feel all right about it. But it's all the nasty coughing and all that phlegmy stuff that's not so sexy. So just in case I have got my crib notes, I think that would work. Yes, just in case. And then I've also got, of course, the key one for anyone. It was caused by an electric car.
Beautiful.
Just in case we need those. That seemed to be the key answers to anything. Yes, and it was caused by an electric car.
Yeah.
Jenny, can I just see that sign again? That one there. I think I spotted a typo.
Oh God, really? I'm very poorly.
I might be wrong.
Oh God, you are. You're such a pedant. Oh my God, I got a typo. Look, he spotted a typo.
I think if we're an electric car website, we should be able to spot.
What typo? What do you mean? What typo?
To be
Nothing
fair,
to see.
probably the kind of style that will be written in the sun anyway, so it doesn't make a difference, right?
Probably. So let's kick off with our week. So we've determined that mine's sort of slightly been very coffee. What have you been up to, Tom, this week?
I've been kind of tied to my desk a bit this week, but it's been quite nice. I've cleared some things. I've got some test drives up on the site, that sort of thing. And there's been a lot of news this week as well. I don't know why. I don't know if there was like a motor show in a previous year that are around now, but there's been loads of stuff.
Okay, we shall come to the news later. Nicola, you've been out and about.
Yes.
You've been quite busy.
I was in Frankfurt on Monday to have the first drive of the new Corsa Electric, which the video went live yesterday, I believe, actually. So it is on our YouTube channel. You can have a little watch, and it's very expensive.
It's very, very expensive. It's such a kind of drop of the ball for Corsa with this because it's so expensive that's all we've all talked about. I actually realised I haven't asked you anything about what you thought about the car to drive. I know it's all in the video and I've sort of seen it in that, but whenever we talked about that car, all we've talked about is the price, which I'm sure is probably not what they were hoping for from a bunch of journalists, were they?
I mean, probably not. But look, the car itself is perfectly fine. It's very nice and quiet, and it rides very nice. I do think it rides nicer than the Astra. I do think that. Okay. So that's really nice. I did notice it's got a brand new steering wheel, but the steering wheel's massive. The steering wheel is too big for the car. It's either that or the placement of the screen isn't quite right. But I think it's a mixture of both, maybe. Because as you're driving, say you've got your hands in 9 and 3 like you normally would, it's blocking a third of the screen. So we're trying to follow a sat nav, and I'm constantly having to look over to check the screen. It was just a little thing that I don't think they thought about that bugged me a little bit.
That is quite annoying. Do you think, because Stellantis are really all about cost saving, aren't they? Do you think all those bits from the small steering wheels that they put on Peugeots, they've gone, right, we've got to use those, let's give them to Vauxhall to make their steering wheels bigger?
Leftover bits. Yeah.
Leftover bits. Yeah. Absolutely. But let's move on to the pricing, because you sort of damned that car with faint praise there, really. I mean, you don't love it, and that's fine, isn't it? If the car is a reasonable amount of money.
Let me find
it's not. Well, we go on. You find your little thing from the press conference, and then Tom and I have been doing some price digging.
Okay, yeah, because I found it was that one image that I was like, I have to send this to our WhatsApp group because it just blew my mind. The fact that if you go for the basic level trim, it's going to cost you £375 a month for 5 years. That's after you've put down just under £4,000 as a deposit for the basic trim. The
Okay.
absolute, which comes with nothing. Comes with no heated seats, no nothing, not really any good tech, and the seat material isn't that great. It's insane money for 5
Insane.
years as well. That's
And
it.
just remind me as well what was on that, because I haven't got it to hand, but you did put it on our group and it got a lot of pickup. Because what's the petrol version? Because the petrol version's almost half the price, isn't it? On the
Yes,
same, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, hold on now. You talk amongst yourselves while I find it.
I
Okay,
think the
but we
petrol
will
one
come
was
back.
100. The petrol was
190,
199.
something like
199,
that.
I
Yeah, it
think.
was. But we'll come back to that, because that was the prices that you were shown. And then, Tom, you and I have been having a chat earlier this morning, weren't we? We were going on and talking
Mm,
about this. And I was like, I wonder what, I bet it's the same price of as a Tesla. And
mm.
it's not the same price, actually, as a Tesla. It's actually more expensive at the moment than a Tesla Model Y. Can you believe
What?
that? So we did the figures on it. So shall I do the Model Y, Tom, and then you
Yeah,
can do
you do the Model Y.
so I
Remember to
so
do
we
the. Yeah, remember to do what it's about. The years and all that sort of thing.
I'll do yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. So it was we were very specific in our ask, but we agreed that this is probably what most people would be going for, something around this. We were going to put £3,700 down.
Yeah.
We were going to do 10,000 miles a year over 36 months.
Hmm.
Tesla Model Y at the moment, as of today, Friday, the whatever month it is, and I can't remember even what day it is. It was £618. Da, 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 da. And the Corsa, Tom, over to you.
So the Corsa Ultimate, which is the one that I think you test drove, which is the nice one with all the posh bits,
Yeah.
same terms. So £3,700 down, 10,000 miles a year, over 36 months, £625 a month.
I can't. I can't.
Uh,
It's a
uh,
Corsa. It's a
I mean,
Corsa.
it's nearly £30,000 that you'd pay over 3 years.
I
Uh,
didn't know what to do with that when we were looking those figures up earlier. I know you look really confused. Your face. I'm
It's
loving your face.
it's a Corsa. It's a Super Mini. Comparing it to a Model Y, and it's a
yeah,
Super Mini.
I
No,
started off to do
not
a
even
Model
the
3, but
same.
you couldn't get those. You couldn't get the figures for a Model 3 because obviously they're on the changeover. So I thought, well, what is it going to be on a Model Y where you can get a PCP quote? Boom.
It's nuts, that, isn't it? I don't, and it does really make me think. I mean, we know that Peugeot have reinvented themselves as a bit more of a kind of upmarket, cool, funky brand,
Yeah.
and that's definitely where they're positioning themselves in the group. So you can kind of see, some of the prices of their cars are a bit like, oh, okay, but the design is looking good on them. They got nice interiors. They're throwing lots of kit at them. I just have Vauxhall just had some kind of midlife crisis and got really confused about what brand they are these days, because nowhere I just in my mind paying that much money for a Corsa, a Vauxhall Corsa, I can't get my head around it. What are they
It's a
thinking?
Corsa. A Corsa.
I know.
When you think it all started when? Do you remember when they released the new Astra Electric? And I remember I met up with Tom because Tom had one delivered to him. And he was like, right, we're going to do some film with it. So I met up with Tom. And as soon as Tom pulled up, we both just made exactly the same face of just a face of this car is 40 grand. Are
It's
you kidding
nuts.
me? Face. I just,
My
who's got
yeah.
that money? No one's got that money. We've got a cost of living crisis.
Uh,
And,
No.
but even if you had that money, are you going to buy a Vauxhall Corsa? That's my answer.
No. Oh, no.
you spelt it correctly. Well done.
Anything else to add to that, Tom?
Well, if I had a conspiracy theory, I might suggest that Stellantis, which of course owns Vauxhall and Peugeot and everybody else, have been quite vocal in saying that electric cars, that they're perhaps not the way, or that we shouldn't be doing it as quickly, and they complain about the Chinese. Now, they also have this business plan, which is quite correct, that they refuse to make a loss on anything. They just say, we're going to make a profit on every car we sell. Therefore, they've said, we're not going to make a loss on these electric cars. We're not going to go chasing after the Chinese. The Chinese can have it. And then they'll say, we haven't sold any electric cars. The consumers don't want them. And then they petition the governments to say,
But
push these
but the
back.
pro-
Don't know.
the problem with this is, so the ban's been pushed back, yes, but the ZEV mandate, the zero
Mm.
emission vehicle mandate, folks, which is a really fun piece of legislation, hasn't. So
Mhm.
this mandates car makers to. I think we might have talked about this on the podcast before. To
Yeah.
make sure that so it mandates car makers to ensure that a certain percentage of their overall car sales are electric. By 2030, that has to be 80%. It has to be 22% from next year. So Vauxhall are like, what? It doesn't matter what they think. If they don't sell these cars, they're going to be
Mm.
fined up to £15,000 per car. Yes, they've got a slight stay on that for the first few years, but from 2026 that stops. And even then, it just means they have to sell more in the remaining years or do certificate swaps with other cars makers who have sold more. So either way, they're not going about this in the right way, are they?
No.
No.
No,
I mean,
No.
you
no.
can just about imagine the marketing department people going, here's the spreadsheet that shows us versus competitors, and we're competitive. And I can't see how that works with this car. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. Anyway, let us know what you think in the comments below. What would you rather have? Tesla Model Y, just reminding you, £618. Vauxhall Corsa, £625. Do let us know. We'd be intrigued to see if anyone says they'll take the Corsa.
Oh.
Oh, right then. So on to more ridiculousness. Shall we move on now to what should we move on to? Insurance. Should we go on
Ah,
to
well, you see,
insurance?
we
Yes.
missed quite a nice link there, Ginny,
Oh, did I
because
go on? Sorry, I'm
the
poorly.
the only the only people who would prefer the Corsa to the Tesla Model Y are people who have to pay a lot for their insurance, because the
Oh,
Tesla Model
slick.
Y.
Oh,
Let's talk about insurance.
Mm-mm.
what a segue. Nicola Humes, with your radio background, you would appreciate that segue. That was smooth, wasn't it?
That was very, very nice. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice, Tom. Tom, over to you
What with
on
insurance?
insurance. Yes.
Well, yeah, it's there's been a story this week that I can't remember which newspaper it was in, but they said, look, electric cars are really expensive to insure, and they compared the premium of a Tesla Model Y versus a Vauxhall Mocha as though they're competitive. Well, we've just suggested that it's competitive with the Corsa, but you see what I mean? They're very different cars. The Tesla Model Y does 0 to 60 in a second or something, and the Mocha is a very different thing. So they weren't comparing apples with apples there. I mean, there's an electric mocha, so they could have got a direct quote of the identical car, but for
Yeah.
reasons they didn't.
Oh,
Um,
wonder why that would happen in the newspapers. Wonder why. Actually, do you know what? It was Go Compare that I think that did that survey. So
really?
actually, we can't blame them. I'm going to look it up while you carry on chatting because I don't want to blame the newspapers. I do think it was
Ah.
Go Compare, but I'll just find it. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
So the interesting thing about Teslas is that they are very, very expensive to repair. And the reason for that is if you look at the back of a Model Y, we might have mentioned this before, even in a video. If you look at the back of a Model Y, like side on, and you look at the tailgate, the actually aluminium metal tailgate part sticks out further than the bumper. So if you reverse into a post, or if somebody reverses into you, they're denting the tailgate,
Hmm.
which is a very expensive thing to repair compared to a plastic bumper which might absorb it. So has to go to a body shop. There's big what's the word, bottlenecks at the body shops at the moment because they're still doing all their stuff from COVID and everybody's gone back to Europe after Brexit. So there's these big issues. And if you're a person who's had your Tesla reversed into, you want a courtesy car while yours is being repaired. And you'll want something equivalent. So you'll want something quite posh, and that will be 150 quid a day on your insurance. So it gets very, very expensive. The other thing about Teslas is they're quite fast. So people who are not used to them get in them, put their foot down to show off the first time, crash into a tree. So there are a lot of claims in the first 2 weeks of Tesla, according to an insurance broker, and they're expensive to repair, and you can't get the parts. Therefore, they're in group 50, which is the same as supercars. It's the highest there is.
But
And
but should probably not be then compared to a Vauxhall Mocha.
well, exactly. Yeah. So a Vauxhall Mocha petrol you could compare to a Vauxhall Mocha electric. That would be sensible. And the
Yes.
costs are broadly similar. We did a total cost of ownership survey on the Mocha, and the prices of the electric and the petrol were virtually the same.
Well, should we stay on insurance and also some misinformation actually? Because
Yeah.
the Luton fire this week. That, my goodness me! So we saw the fire at the car park at Luton Airport. Car park I've used many times. It's that quite convenient one. It's not too far from the terminal. Well, it used to be anyway. Anyway, we saw that going up in flames, and it took probably, I would say 3 minutes before the first social media posts started to arrive.
Yeah.
It was an electric car. Electric car explodes. And this just went on throughout the day, didn't it? Based on nothing, absolutely nothing. Other than, I think, from what I've heard, somebody went on a 5 Live newspaper and they were being interviewed about it and said, oh, it could have been an electric car. To which the reporter replied, well, if it was an electric car, do you think they should be banned from car parks in future?
Oh,
So this
well,
whole thing, like, just got legs and absolutely grew and grew and grew. And then, of course, we found out that, oh, it wasn't actually an electric car. What was it? It was it was a Range Rover diesel that had a little fire and
bad
caused the whole
David
thing.
JLR. Yeah.
Yeah, which, of course, they have form with as well, don't they, Tom? It's not the first time it's happened.
No, so there was a fire on New Year's Eve in the Liverpool Arena, I think,
Mm.
multi-story car park. Another Range Rover caught fire. That a single car set it off. 1,500 cars gone. Massive insurance claim, and had to knock down the car park. So should we be banning diesel Range Rovers from multi-story car parks? It's
Yeah,
if people are
haven't seen
suggesting it
that.
for electric cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that on Twitter, Nick. Have you seen that on
No.
Twitter? Let's ban Range Rover diesels from car parks.
No,
Have you
I
seen that
didn't.
headline?
No,
No.
I didn't spot that. But also, I didn't spot, that Range Rover diesels are also really heavy cars, and maybe they might make the multi-stories collapse as
Mm.
well. You
N-
just
no.
weird how you don't see that headline anywhere.
It was the electric car's fault, as
Yeah.
always. So you see, I was thinking well with my signs, wasn't
Yeah.
I? It was
Mm.
caused by an electric car. Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
assume we all felt the same as soon as we saw the the fire happen. We all went, "Oh, here we go, here we go." Please, actually, there was a part of me that was like, "Please don't let it actually be an EV because this will be disastrous." So the
I
moment that it
know.
wasn't, you're like, "Yes!"
I know. Well, it was an electric car that obviously caused my really bad cough 3 weeks ago.
Mm.
I don't.
Mm.
Yeah, obviously it must have been
Must have been.
because can't think
Mm.
of anything else that would have caused it.
Yeah,
Just sort of driving
Mm.
in it, I think I
yeah.
just picked up a cold from the car.
So dangerous.
Germ spreaders,
Mm,
absolutely, really,
yeah,
really bad.
really.
The other thing though that got me thinking about that fire and just going back to what you were talking about with insurance. What's the
Mm.
insurance claim going to be like on that fire? The car
Yeah.
park apparently was £20 million to build that car park, and it's going to have to be pulled down because it's basically been destroyed. And they reckon there were 1,200 cars in there.
I didn't know it was that many. I didn't
So
know
1,200,
that.
yeah, 1,200 cars times, what's the average used price? 17, 18 grand. Somebody do the sums. That's a big. But then, of course, are the airlines going to claim because they couldn't come in? There's all the people who had to get taxis home because their cars were in
Mm,
there, or they couldn't. Do they
yeah.
claim for it as well? I
Well, yeah,
mean, you
they
imagine that.
probably can, can't they?
Yeah, yeah. I
Well,
mean, that's
yeah.
that's all those costs are traceable back to one person's car. So
Oh,
that's one insurance policy. You go on to compare the market or something, and you tap in. It's like any previous claims. Yeah, I had a claim in 2023 for a fire. And how much was the claim for? £50 million. Oh.
'cause yeah, it probably
You'd see the
will
little
be.
circle as it computed, wouldn't you? It'd be like,
It will be in the millions, surely.
But
oh,
Oh,
obviously,
hundreds.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just insane, isn't it? So yeah, that was, but that yes, the poor old electric car. But it's not the only bit of information or firefighting we've had to do this week, is it?
I
Is
was,
it, Nicola Hume?
I was in the papers this week.
You were in the sun.
My little face didn't use my name though. They just called me woman. Woman and influencer, which can I just say I am not an influencer whatsoever. So that really annoyed me. So how do we explain this? Right, I did a video with the BYD Dolphin, which has been live on our channel for about a week and a half now. And this
Yeah.
is actually the third time that I had shot with a BYD Dolphin. And the video, I would say, is, if you've seen it, about 90% positive, because it's 9 things we absolutely love about the BYD Dolphin, 5 things not so sure about. And I said right at the start of the video, this is actually the third time that I've filmed with this car. However, the headline that made the article in The Sun said this was my first time driving the BYD Dolphin, and then failed to notice any of the 9 things that we absolutely love, which was 90% of the entire video. And what the Sun did was they cut down our video to just use the little negative section to post a whole negative article about the BYD Dolphin. Here's the car that I drove this one time, and here's why I absolutely hate it, is essentially what the article was. When we
Yeah.
all know that the video was not that whatsoever. So posted it to the WhatsApp group, and I was like, this is interesting. And then Ginny jumped in and saved the day, didn't you, Ginny?
I got cross.
Yeah,
I got really cross
yeah.
because it was just rubbish. And I think what made me even more cross was I knew that it had been done with other people. Now,
Mm,
obviously, I can't step in when it's done with somebody, but it's not our channel.
yeah.
But I was like, I'm just not having this. I am absolutely not having this because it's just basically really rubbish journalism. And I'm not a massive fan of really rubbish journalism. And also, you are an influencer. You influence me a lot in making lots of fabulous decisions about my life. But the way they just wrote it as well, like it was just that whole woman drives electric car and hates it. The
Honest.
influencer did it. It was just so demeaning as well.
Yeah.
That was the bit. And then they also did the cardinal thing that they should never do, which is, as anybody who uses YouTube will know, the content that we put on here has to be viewed on YouTube. So anyone can link to it. Feel free to link to our podcast and
Yeah.
share it and spread it around the world. But what you can't do is download it and cut bits together from it. You can't do that. YouTube gets really cross, and that's what the Sun had done.
Yes.
So they had also downloaded the video, chopped just the negative bits. So it was just literally on their website, not even on our channel anymore, of you being really critical. So yeah, I did get cross. Might have sent a few emails to some people that I might have worked with in the past. And funnily enough, it was down by the next morning. In fact, was
Funny
it
that
down I think it was down by the end of the day. No, it was down by the end of the day.
it
It was
was.
down by the end of the day. Yeah. But I think what that really brought home to me was that it went a bit mad on social because I called the journalist out on Twitter or X or whatever we call it these days and just said, look, just want to make you aware that you have taken our content and repurposed it without our permission and re-edited our video. And it just got picked up. But what was really sad was it got picked up by so many other people who have had that happen to them. And they have been making a habit of this, as has a lot of the media. And I think actually this may now, I will report that next week, but I've got some meetings coming up with them. And I think it's been going on, but people that needed to know about it didn't need to know about it. And I have a feeling that this practice may be stopped. And I am also going to try and get lots of other videos taken down and Sun articles from other people who've had this happen to them. So on a serious note, if you are watching this and you would like me to take up your case because somebody has, used your video, cut it up, written nonsense, just drop us a comment below and I will reach out to you because it was rubbish, wasn't it?
It was rubbish. And it made me aware that we now probably have subscribers that now watch our videos to find the negative things to now write an article. So I think we now have to be wary of any future article that's quoting or posting a video of what we've done. And if you're listening to this or if you're watching this right now, if you spot an article that you're like, that's not quite right, then let us know, please, because Ginny is sorting it.
It's just we talked about it the next day, didn't we, Tom? We had a thumbnail going up and a video about the Corsa. And obviously we're journalists, we say it like it is. We're not lobbyists. We're here to say the great stuff that we love about electric cars, but we also criticise the things we don't. But we had to chat about it, didn't we, Tom? We really wondered whether did we need to tone it down. And yeah,
I don't think, I don't know what the outcome should be from there, but we don't want to not say things that we think that are negative about electric cars or about the charging infrastructure and say everything's peachy when it's not. Because somebody will pick that up and only that up and use it against the whole EV world. But we were quite firm, weren't we, that we need to carry on doing what we're doing.
And we did, and the video went live in all its glory. Should we move on? So what's been brilliant about this podcast is that it's growing every week that we put it out. So thank you for that. But also we're getting loads of lovely comments and funny ones, and also ones that just say that was crap, and that's great too. Or disagree with us, and it's all good. As long as we're making people think and talk. So who's got a comment? Has anything caught your eye in the? Oh, okay, Monsieur, over to you.
So on the last episode of the podcast, I was talking about an episode of the morning show where I got really annoyed with Reese Witherspoon physically shutting an electrified boot lid, probably all for the sake of television and drama, right? Where you could hear the boot kind of going as she was shutting the thing. There was a comment, right? This is from Tim, who says, "I got annoyed in Cobra Kai. There's a scene where a hippie sports therapist dude drives off in his Nissan Leaf with an engine roar dubbed over the top."
Love that.
So funny.
Oh, I love that. So I love the morning show, and I watched the episode that night because I was a couple of days late catching up with it, and I came to that bit and I was like, no, it was very annoying.
Yeah.
So Tom, what about you? Anything caught your
Well,
eye?
we were talking about doing longer test drives and how we had a difference of opinion about cars, and you need to make sure the car fits for you. Well, a couple of people have commented on that, and there's one guy who's called Alistair who says that he's actually rented cars for a weekend to make sure
Good.
they fit in with
Yeah.
his lifestyle. And he was looking at a Polestar 2 and Tesla Model 3 and ended up with a Volkswagen ID3 because he liked the driving position, which I can completely understand. And that there was another guy, Peter Walker, who said that the Kia dealer gave him a 3-hour test drive, and he
Ooh,
bought the car on
smart.
the back of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there used to be, I don't know if they still do them, these sort of 24-hour test drives where
Mm.
you can see if these things fit into your life, and it's such a good idea, isn't it?
Mm.
Just because sometimes you get into a car and you've been in something completely different, and you think, this is so different. I don't get it. I don't like the way the brakes feel, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then after a while, you realise it's actually a lot better.
Equally, though, in one of the comments I saw, and I can't remember, sorry, who, I didn't write it down actually. It was somebody was saying that because they live up in Scotland and they get stock and cars a bit later, they can't always do all the road tests they want to do. And they bought I think it was an BMW iX based on the reviews that they'd seen with us. And it was just that actually for them, it's nice to see the car, but they didn't even really feel that a test drive at that point was necessary. So I think it's really, I think if you're first time in electric, it matters a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you're new, if you've already had electric cars, but anyway, but I just thought it was interesting that somebody had also said that, so you saw both sides of it. I came back to the painting comments because they're really making me laugh, and because in case you haven't, I can't explain it every week, but they're paint samples. I will choose one eventually. But Russell Gilchrist said, next time you drive a BYD car, get a heat gun, peel off the BY stickers and stick them on your wall, because I was threatening to get Build Your Dreams on my wall.
You could get BYD to sponsor your redecoration.
Well, we could just get BYD to sponsor the podcast and my redecoration. There's a thing. And this one I really loved. It was from Rob Verlag. I don't know if that's your name, Rob, but it's your YouTube handle. He just said, this podcast makes me happy. I like it. I almost want to buy an electric car with an emoji of him dancing. And that made me happy.
Almost. So what can we do to tip you over the
Almost.
edge if you're at the almost stage? Ooh.
But that comes back to what we were saying, Tom, which is electric cars are not right for everybody now. We're here just to help people along the journey. We love them. And hopefully, Rob, we will convert you and you will get one and you will love it too.
Yay!
Yay! So, what we're all up to over the next week? What's going on? Tom, what are you up to?
Well, we're doing some filming next week, aren't we? So I'm going to see
Ooh.
you next week.
What have you got? You've got a good car, haven't you? You've got an intro. You
Am I
like to
allowed
say
to
what
say?
you've got? Oh, I don't know.
I'm
No,
not
you're
sure.
not. No, he's not allowed
Probably
to
not.
say.
No,
Probably
it's
not.
a secret
next
car.
Tell next week. Anyway, yes, it's interesting. I don't know
It's
when
an
we can
interesting
even
car.
talk.
It's a nice car.
Oh, it's a nice car.
Ooh.
You're going to do a lot
Although
of
it has,
driving.
although it
Go
has
on.
a strange fault that I'm not very keen on.
Oh, well, that's a cliffhanger to leave you all on.
Well,
What about you?
shall I say, and then see if people can guess what car it is?
Okay, that's a good idea.
The key is enormous, like ridiculously
Okay.
enormous. Like if you took it on a plane, with Ryanair, they'd say you have to check it in because it's too big for the hand baggage. It's ridiculous. Honestly, it's like a
Okay.
mobile phone. So that's yeah. Guesses below, please, of what make of car that would be.
Okie doke. Nicola, what about you?
Next week I'm going to Monaco.
Oh, la
I
di
know,
da.
I'm so fancy like that. It's for the Eco Rally series. So
Oh,
this
that's
is like
good.
a whole new racing rally series with electric cars that aren't modified at all. So I'm going to Monaco for 5 days to go. I'm working with the FIA to go and like
Hmm.
their content and stuff. But it's going to be really cool to be in and around Monaco with loads of different types of electric cars to see how they handle an interesting rally situation. So that'd be good.
That would be really good, and that is such a great thing that we're going to be doing. As all of us are going to be doing some work with the FIA on that going forwards, aren't we? So we will tell you a bit more about that in other podcasts.
Yeah.
I am. I'm going off to drive two exciting cars that
Ooh.
I think I can tell you about. I can I? Maybe I can't. I can tell you about one of them. I think EX30. We will be. There's drives for that coming up soon, so we won't be able to talk about that for a while. But that's one of the cars that I'm driving. I'm excited about that. And then I'm driving a second car the day after that. Probably can't tell you about, but if I can, I'll tell you all about it next week.
Can you
Um,
give us a hint so then people can try and guess what the car is, a bit like what Tom's done?
oh, it's big.
Right.
That's all
That
I'm giving you. It's a
it's
big car. It's big.
everything's
And
big.
on
Also, Diddy.
um and on that note, shall we say our farewells, our goodbyes? Wish everyone well, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.